Good afternoon, and thanks for stopping by Across the Fence. I'm Keith Silva, in for Amy Finley. We're in Fairfield today at one of the biggest sugar makers in Vermont. Maple doesn't get much bigger than this. From 100,000 taps out in the forest to these twin evaporators that take 40,000 gallons of sap just to get started. Branon family maple orchards take sugar making to the max and into the future.
The Branon family has dedicated their lives to making maple a way of life for 6 generations. In addition to turning sap into syrup, the Branons have also harnessed the power of the sun to run their business. This 10,000-foot facility runs on solar power. Coincidentally, so do the trees. Show me a good sugar maker, and I'll show you someone who is a steward of the land. Our guide through the woods is Evan Branon. Evan, I bet you've walked every inch of these woods.
Yeah, I've definitely put on some miles.
How many acres here?
So we're tapping around 4,000 acres, give or take. On that 4,000 acres, we're tapping about 100,000 trees,
Okay.
just over. You know, we are still expanding. We still have some untouched areas that we're working towards as we can.
And this is one of your family's sugar bushes. You've got another one in Bakersfield.
Yeah, so we tap around 30,000 here in Fairfield, where our sugar house is and where we grew up. We purchased land in Bakersfield years ago, and that's where we're adding more taps on. That's where most of our taps are.
We're here early in the sugaring season, but you've spent your lifetime in these woods, but you've also been in the woods, getting the woods ready since when?
Yeah, so basically right around October is the start of the season where we start doing the maintenance on this year's operation that we're going to be doing. However, it is a 365 day a year operation. So in the off season, we're setting up new taps.
Off season.
In the off season, yep. In the summer months,
right.
We're setting up new taps. We're maintaining. That's when we can add more if we have the time and the availability to do it. And then, come October, we start our maintenance of this year's, taps that we'll be doing. And by December 1st, we start tapping the trees.
Okay.
And it takes us right till about mid-February.
To make sure each tap hole is at the proper depth, Evan invented a device he calls the precision tapper. It fastens onto the front of the drill to provide a perfect tap hole depth every single time.
This really has revolutionized the way we tap trees. We're able to get a really good seal on our spout. With vacuum systems, it's really essential that we get good seals so we don't have micro leaks, which when we have a micro leak, bacteria grows, we lose production of our tree, and it hinders our whole year's production overall. So we have a precision tapper to get a good seal, get the right depth every single time, and be able to duplicate this 100,000 times. Mainly what we do is we walk up to the tree, we find last year's hole, we try to avoid that as much as we can. We try to find nice faces of the tree, stay away from old scars or any blemishes in the tree. What we're looking for is any dead areas of the tree we try to stay away from. We're trying to get good productive white wood in the tree and getting a good round hole with a good seal. If we can do that and we can duplicate that on every tree, we're setting ourselves up to have a better production. We do not do any trees with multiple taps. The reason is that we've decided that the health of the tree, the health of the woods is really important to us for generations. I'm the 6th generation. I have children, and if they decide they want to continue the legacy, that they'll be able to have nice healthy trees for their family and then their generations to come. Here in Fairfield, if you look around, you'll see taps that are extremely high. We tapped on ladders this year. Part of the reason that is, these trees have been tapped for years upon years upon years. So finding good areas, getting away from old tap holes is really important. You can tap lower. The problem is that your vacuum is now trying to pull it up. it works just a little bit harder. So if we tap high and we use gravity on our side, it's just a little bit easier on everything.
With all these different lines that are running everywhere, they need to be maintained. And as we were walking here, you said, oh, that tree just fell.
It's something that we're doing every single day, whether it's finding wind damage, you know, that tree coming down, making that line off grade. Well, what that's doing is that's going to be a low spot. The sap's going to freeze, and now everything above that isn't going to be able to come down.
Right.
So it's essential to maintain our woods, get the trees off the main lines. Any damage, squirrel, deer, coyotes, you know, they like to chew our lines. So any hole they put in our tubing lines or our main lines creates a leak. And when leaks are created, or a bad tap hole, air gets into the system, bacteria starts to grow, and it you know, lowers our production. So it's really essential to stay in the woods, maintain what we have, and in order to, you know, maximize our production.
So is it just you out here? Do you have a crew?
So
Couple other guys?
we do have a crew, thank God, and there's about 6 to 8 of us that are out in the woods. So that's 6 to 8 people on 100,000 taps, and we're out here every day, you know, monitoring what's going on. We also have, you know, technology now. We have sensors, so from our smartphones we can, you know, it can pinpoint us where we need to go to get the worst of the worst problems. When a tree comes down, our vacuum levels will go down. When, you know, a squirrel chews our line, our vacuum levels will go down as well. So as the vacuum levels go down, we know that something just happened. We need to now go fix that.
So you said you started in December putting in taps, and I heard you say about 100,000 taps, but I bet you it's not exactly 100,000, right?
No, it's not exactly 100.
It's 100 and what exactly?
Yeah, we're roughly around 100,800.
100,800. Many people still associate sugaring with buckets, and while some backyard sugar makers still do so today, the Branons have their sights set a little higher. Before it gets sugared off in the evaporator, the sap goes through the RO. But given the size of this operation, it's ROs, plural. Kyle Branon and his nephew Cohen gave me a tour.
Kyle, this is the RO room named for these units here. What is an RO and what does it do?
So a reverse osmosis machine removes impurities from water. The impurities in this case is the sugar that we want to keep. So what these machines will do is these will get rid of a lot of the water that we have to boil. You can boil raw sap. If raw sap comes in at 2% sugar content, it takes roughly 43 gallons of sap to make a gallon of syrup.
Okay.
So you have to boil away those 42 gallons to get down to that one.
Which is the standard that sugar makers have been doing for years. That's the science.
Correct. So with an RO, for easy math, if we take it to 20% sugar concentrate, instead of 43, we only have to boil, it's 4.3 gallons of sap to make a gallon of syrup. So we'll have to boil substantially less to get that same gallon.
So we're saving money, efficiency, labor.
Saving fuel, labor, time. When I was this guy's age, we would be lucky to make a barrel every couple hours, and that was burning a lot of fuel, as much as you possibly could put to it.
Right.
Now we'll boil at 25%, and on the similar sized evaporator, we'll make 3 barrels an hour. So
Okay.
165 gallons an hour instead of 15 gallons an hour.
What happens to the water?
So we save the water, goes in tanks. We use it for rinsing, for washing of the ROs, of the evaporators. So we're saving it, we're reusing it.
Nothing's wasted.
Nothing's wasted. Correct.
Excellent. Kyle, when was your first boil this year?
First boil was on the 15th of January this
And
year.
is that early, late?
It is early. We've been earlier.
Okay.
Definitely been earlier. We've been before Christmas the last 2 years, but every year is a little different.
That's what we were talking to Evan out in the woods about, that Christmas time you guys are thinking about sugar, even though primarily March and April are the season.
Based on our size,
Right.
because of when we have to start, if the weather turns and if the sap decides to run, we don't have a choice. We have to go. We're on call.
Right, right. And the sap is running as long as you hit those temperatures, right? As long as you have those warm days, cool nights.
Exactly. Warm days, cool nights. This is an oil-fired evaporator, and everything underneath starts boiling. Steam goes up. This upper pan that you see when the sap enters is a steam pan, and because we've made all that steam, the steam is going through pipes and it's preheating the sap. So if it comes in at 25, it might come into the back pan at 29%. When it gets to the front, syrup in Vermont, it's 66.9% sugar. So in that time, we've boiled off all that excess water.
And the reason that you have all these efficiencies is this isn't like boiling water on a stove. You're trying to capture all the possible heat that you can because you're coming in with that concentrate, so that when the sap is coming out, when you're actually making syrup, it's the highest quality it can be, right?
Absolutely. We want to do it as fast and as efficient as possible. Years ago, my Uncle Sean would say, my grandfather would tell you, if you had good sap, good wood, and good luck, if you went in with a lantern and came out with a lantern, at the end of the day, you might have made 2 barrels, 30-gallon drums.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when that sap comes in, we get it through the ROs as fast as we can. As fast as we can get it through the ROs, we want to get it into the evaporator. We want to boil it for the highest quality. But now, instead of 2 30-gallon barrels at the end of the day, we'll make somewhere around 3 55-gallon drums an hour. An hour. So we'll make 165 to 170 gallons off of these units.
The Branons hope to make about 1,000 barrels of syrup this year. Remember, these barrels hold 55 gallons of syrup. Let's all keep our fingers crossed for Vermont sugar makers for warm days and cool nights. My thanks to our Across the Fence team for today's program and the Branon family. I'm Keith Silva. This is Across the Fence. Thanks for being part of our family.